How powerful was Kyle Katarn really? He's been called a Jedi Master, a rebel operative, and one of the galaxy's deadliest warriors. But how does he truly stack up against legends like Luke Skywalker or even Anakin and their primes? Was he a Force user capable of rivaling the Chosen One? Or was his strength more grounded in skill and adaptability? Today we're digging into the facts, myths, and untold truths about one of the most underrated Jedi in the Star Wars universe. But first, we have some massive news. As many of you have probably noticed, the channel's name is no longer AM's Cantina. It is now the Outcast Cantina. That's because we partnered with the Renegade Film Force and the incredible Mike StarWalker to take this channel to the next level. Together, they're working on reimagining Dark Forces 2, staying true to the expanded universe we all grew up with. You'll see iconic characters like Mara Jade, Dash Rendar, Luke Skywalker, and of course Kyle Katarn, yet reimagined in a story so faithful that even the most die-hard EU fan will tip their hats. This is the beginning of something truly special, and I can't wait to share it with you all. Without further ado, let's dive into today's video. Kyle's life was marked by contrast. He was an Imperial officer turned rebel operative, a warrior with the soul of a farmer, and a Jedi who embraced both light and dark. This duality wasn't just a quirk of his character, but a defining trait. It allowed him to navigate the complexities of war, politics, and the Force with a versatility few could match. His dual nature often made Kyle an outsider, but also gave him a unique perspective, one that was unshackled by dogma. While Kyle Katarn is celebrated for his role as a Jedi, his influence extended beyond the Praxium. He was a symbol of hope for people who felt disconnected from the larger galactic struggle. Kyle often worked with smugglers, mercenaries, and ordinary citizens, bridging the gap between the Jedi and the rest of the galaxy. He showed that heroism didn't require a grand title, birthright, or power, but could come from making the right choices, even under immense pressure. Kyle's Imperial Academy training wasn't just a phase of his life, it became the foundation of his success. His keen tactical mind and combat experience often made him the deciding factor in missions. Unlike most Jedi, Kyle didn't view technology or blasters as lesser tools. He incorporated them seamlessly into his arsenal, blending modern warfare with ancient art of the Force. His resourcefulness and adaptability made him a nightmare for his enemies, whether he was armed with a lightsaber or a disruptor rifle. Despite his many achievements, Kyle rarely sought recognition. He avoided the politics of the New Republic and preferred to operate in the shadows, doing what was needed to be done without fanfare. This grounded approach made him one of the most relatable heroes of the expanded universe. Someone who fought not for glory, but for what he believed was right. While Kyle Katarn's metachlorian count isn't explicitly stated in the expanded universe, we know that he was Force-sensitive, but not as innately gifted as someone like Anakin Skywalker, whose count exceeded over 30,000. Unlike prodigies such as Luke or Leia, Kyle's Force abilities were discovered relatively late in life. He had to work tirelessly to develop his connection to the Force, often learning through trial, error, and sheer determination. Kyle's journey was far from conventional. By the time of Jedi Outcast, Kyle had to relearn everything, starting from scratch. This rediscovery of his connection to the Force not only strengthened his understanding of its nature, but also allowed him to strike a balance between light and the dark side. What set Kyle apart was his unshakable will and clarity of purpose. Unlike many Jedi who feared the dark side, Kyle understood its power, learned to wield it without succumbing to it. This balance stemmed from his grounded, pragmatic view, his deep moral conviction, traits forged during his years as a rebel operative and Imperial defector. By the events of Jedi Academy, Kyle had grown into a Jedi Master, who trained the next generation of Jedi alongside Luke Skywalker. His ability to embrace the full spectrum of the Force made him one of the most versatile and unpredictable Jedi in the galaxy. Kyle's combat prowess is the stuff of legend. Unlike Luke, who leaned heavily on his refined lightsaber skill, or Anakin, who relied on raw power and aggression, was a perfect blend of soldier and Jedi. Before discovering his Force sensitivity, Kyle trained as an Imperial officer, attending the academy on Caridia. This background gave him a tactical edge in battle, blending military strategy, sharpshooting, and hand-to-hand combat techniques. With his Jedi training abilities, his time in the Empire also made him an expert at exploiting their weaknesses, a skill he often used to devastating effect after defecting to the rebellion. Kyle's defection was spurred by a deeply personal betrayal. While he was serving as an officer, he learned that the Empire had been responsible for the death of his father, Katarn, a rebel sympathizer and outspoken critic of the regime. This revelation shattered Kyle's loyalty to the Empire and set him on a path of vengeance and redemption that would eventually lead him to becoming a Jedi Knight. When it comes to lightsaber combat, Kyle's style appears to be a pragmatic mix of forms, with a strong influence in Shin and Jimso, Form 5, for its aggressive and defensive balance, and Niman, Form 6, for its versatility. His soldier's instinct likely informed his adaptive approach, favoring practicality over tradition. Kyle wielded several lightsabers over his career. His first was gifted to him by Katarn, a Jedi Knight who had entrusted it to Kyle's father before the events of Dark Forces 2. This weapon featured a green blade and served him well until it was destroyed. Before the events of Jedi Outcast, Kyle built a new lightsaber. After re-establishing his connection to the Force, he reattained it from Luke Skywalker. The crystal for this lightsaber, as well as the one he used in Jedi Academy, came from the Valley of the Jedi, a nexus of Force energy that Kyle had helped liberate from the Sith-controlled Dark Trooper project. Kyle's background as both a soldier and Jedi gave him an edge few could match. His mastery of blaster combat made him just as dangerous without a lightsaber, and his strategic thinking allowed him to outmaneuver foes who relied purely on brute strength or overwhelming force power. This unique combination of skills made him not just a warrior, but a leader capable of standing toe-to-toe with the likes of Luke Skywalker and other legends of the Jedi Order. One of Kyle Katarn's most impressive feats comes from Jedi Outcast, where he single-handedly defeated the Dark Jedi Desann, a foe so formidable that he posed a serious threat to Luke Skywalker's Jedi Order. Desann wasn't just another rogue Force user. He was a former Jedi Padawan who turned to the dark side after being consumed by anger and arrogance. A Chistori by species, Desann was naturally imposing, with a towering stature and a brutal combat style that combined raw strength and cunning intelligence. Desann's Jedi training came under the tutelage of Master Luke Skywalker himself at the Jedi Praxion on Yavin 4. However, he quickly grew resentful, believing that Luke's teachings were holding him back. This resentment culminated in his fall to the dark side after he killed a fellow student in cold blood. Desann later became the leader of the Remnant Aligned Reborn, a faction of dark side warriors who had been artificially imbued with the Force's abilities, using stolen secrets from the Valley of the Jedi. What made Desann truly dangerous was his mastery of the Force, combined with his aggressive lightsaber combat, which leaned heavily on brute strength and intimidation. During an encounter with Luke Skywalker on Cloud City, Desann not only held his own, but he managed to push Luke back and escape, showcasing a level of power and cunning that placed him far above ordinary Force users. Kyle's defeat of Desann wasn't just a test of strength, but a showcase of his tactical brilliance and mastery of the Force. Unlike Luke, who preferred a more traditional and measured approach, Kyle's experience as a soldier gave him an edge to adapt and outthink his opponent. He didn't just overpower Desann, he outmaneuvered him, proving that even the most dangerous enemies could fall to those who combined skill, strategy, and willpower. By the time of Jedi Academy, Kyle had grown even stronger, becoming a mentor to characters like Jaden Korr and Rosh Pinnin. His ability to teach and lead speaks volumes about his mastery of the Jedi path. But how does he really compare to Luke and Anakin? Against Luke Skywalker, Kyle's power lies in pragmatism. While Luke embodies the ideal Jedi, Kyle operates in the gray areas, utilizing techniques that many Jedi would shy away from. His willingness to embrace both the light and the dark side of the Force gives him a unique edge, though it's unlikely he could overpower Luke in a direct confrontation. Luke's knowledge and deeper understanding of the Force combined with the raw power make him a 90% assured victory in this situation. If going saber to saber, it's quite possible that becomes a 50-50, however. I will say this, considering that Luke could not defeat Desann, but Kyle could. Perhaps there's more to Kyle than just meets the eye. As for Anakin Skywalker, the comparison is even more complex. Anakin's raw power and potential was unparalleled, but his downfall was his emotional instability. Kyle, by contrast, was a survivor, a man who earned his strength through experience and discipline, rather than destiny. In a one-on-one duel, Kyle might not be a match for Anakin's raw power, but his cunning and adaptability could give him an advantage in the right circumstances. If going into the situation understanding the events of Episode 3, I do believe that he'd be able to manipulate Anakin, and it might be at least a 50-50 shot at surviving. Not to say that he would walk away unscathed. Kyle's force powers included advanced telekinesis, mind tricks, and force lightning, an ability rarely used by light-sided Jedi. This versatility made him unpredictable in combat, as he could draw upon the dark side without succumbing to it. One of his most impressive displays of power came during his confrontation with the Sith Jarek in Dark Forces 2. Not only did Kyle defeat Jarek, but he resisted the lure of the valley and its immense power. So how powerful was Kyle Katarn? While he may not have the raw midichlorian count of Anakin, or the idealistic strength of Luke, Kyle's true power lay in versatility, resilience, and sheer determination. He wasn't the strongest Jedi, but he was one of the most adaptive, and that's what truly made him dangerous. What do you think? Could Kyle hold his own against Luke or Anakin in their primes? Or was his strength in his ability to operate outside the lines of traditional Jedi thinking? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and be sure to check our community tab as well. We're holding a poll on whether he could beat Luke or not. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share as we continue to explore the greatest legends of Star Wars. And that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Before we go, for those of you who are interested, here's what's going on with the channel. Renegade Film Force and I have joined up and are going to run this channel together from now on. I'll still be covering lore, of course, and some other things eventually. Renegade and Mike will be sharing their content, will be sharing the content of their series. This means Mike's channel will get episode 1, which you can find linked down in the description below. And we will be hosting episode 2. This will alternate until the series is ended, but we will be the home for the final episode. Who knows, you might even see me in an episode later on. Now, this is just the beginning. There are other things in work that we won't know more about until later. If all goes well, we'll be flying out to MegaCon in February to meet up with Renegade, Mike, and even Star Wars Theory. So stay tuned and keep your ears sharp. This is gonna be an insane ride.